This is First Read, a podcast of Edenton Street United Methodist Church where the preachers for this upcoming Sunday read the appointed text for the first time. Join us now for our first read. This coming Sunday is April 13th. It is Palm Passion Sunday. My name is Amanda Rigby.
My name is Ashley Griffith.
My name is Emanuel Lirag.
And my name is Kevin Baker.
I'm going to read one of our gospel texts for this coming Sunday. This is the Palm reading, so it's probably familiar to those of you who have been in the church for a while. This is from Luke chapter 19, verses 28 through 40. After Jesus said this, he continued on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. As Jesus came to Bethphage and Bethany on the Mount of Olives, he gave 2 disciples a task. He said, "Go into the village over there. When you enter it, you will find tied up there a colt that no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If someone asks, 'Why are you untying it?' just say, 'Its master needs it.'" Those who had been sent found it exactly as he had said. As they were untying the colt, its owners said to them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They replied, "Its master needs it." They brought it to Jesus, threw their clothes on the colt, and lifted Jesus onto it. As Jesus rode along, they spread their clothes on the road. As Jesus approached the road leading down from the Mount of Olives, the whole throng of his disciples began rejoicing. They praised God with a loud voice because of all the mighty things they had seen. They said, "Blessings on the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest heavens." Some of the Pharisees from the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, scold your disciples, tell them to stop." He answered, "I tell you, if they were silent, the stones would shout." This is the word of God for us, the people of God.
Thanks be to God. Yeah, so as Amanda just said, this coming Sunday is Palm Passion Sunday. And I remember being a kid, and I just remember more the palm part, maybe because kids often are front and center, and that will be true this Sunday as well, leading in with the palm branches. But I remember as a child the palm branches and Hosanna songs and all of that, and then fast forward a week to Easter Sunday, and it just felt like from glory to glory, from joy to joy. We're actually observing, along with the whole church, Palm and Passion Sunday. So there is the option, and we do this at Edenton Street, to look at and consider the entirety of the Passion story in that same Palm Sunday morning. So the worship is really full, and there's a big turn in the worship. So we'll start with the children waving palm branches and all of us singing, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna, save us, God." And there will be this triumphal entry, this joyous entry as we remember Jesus' entry into Jerusalem and the crowds who welcome him laying down their cloaks. But during the worship service, there will be a shift in the tone of the music and the prayers when we hear the retelling, the long reading from the gospel text, where this is a week where the scripture literally will speak for itself. Mm-hmm. The proclamation will be the account of what happens after the triumphal entry, and this last week of Jesus' life leading up to the crucifixion and ending with the starkness and the sorrow. So it's a really beautiful service. It's very participatory. We'll begin outdoors. Everyone literally moves their bodies in while singing, and we will hear the long reading told by various voices, and have some beautiful time of singing and reflection and end in silence. So service holds a lot, from joy to somber sorrow.
I love that. And I love the movement, the holy chaos of it, right? So
At the beginning,
I'm sure there probably will be, just because
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but with the kids and everybody out front,
Yes.
in front of the church or the sanctuary, and then coming in. But there's something about that. I mean, I love that, letting the kids and others that are going to be leading in worship kind of lead us in as we process in together. And it just kind of reminds you that journey, that turn in Jesus' ministry where he turns his face towards Jerusalem, where, yes, there's a triumphant entry, but it is, I mean, within hours, within days, it is that turn, that shift, and it's like, very poignant moment in church history and in the liturgical year and all of those things.
And I hope that both spiritually and emotionally, we will all feel that as the scriptures are read and the story is told. And I think there's power in our bodies, literally participating in the entry and imagining Jesus and that journey in. And then also when we come forward for communion and encounter the cross there that will be present physically, it's just going to be a lot to take in. And I think it is such a beautiful and powerful offering to start off Holy Week and to allow us to sit with this story throughout the week leading up to Easter. Yeah.
Last Holy Week was my first time doing a Palm Passion service, and I remember feeling in the service when there's the shift from Palm to Passion, it's almost abrupt, but appropriately so, because that's what happens in Jerusalem. The people are lauding Jesus and waving their palm branches and praising him, and then they're not. They're suddenly, I don't know, the tides turn, and they're shouting for his execution, and all of that happens in the space of a week, and I think it's so easy for us to miss that shift if we don't sit in that suddenness of it. And I just appreciated that so much in the service last year, and I'm really looking forward to it again.
Yeah.
Speaking about one of our values, when the 4 C's we've been leaning into as a church, the curious one, I get really curious about this whole movement from Palm to the story of the Passion, Holy Week, and all that, and what happened in Jerusalem in the first century, and about groupthink, how easy, I don't know, are we sheeple? Isn't that what it goes off sometimes with the memes and stuff? Like this thing that where people just I mean, maybe it was some of the same people. I don't know. I mean, everybody's journeying in this festival days to Passover, so it's coming in from all over. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the emotion of a moment anywhere. I mean, I was caught up in some emotions related to the NCAA tournament this past, season, and
he's still talking about it. Yeah,
the defeat of Duke. But a lot of Gators fans are really happy today. But I would say that I don't know. Were some of the same people? I mean, that's one of the questions that often comes up, right? Were some of the same people that shouted Hosanna? Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. The same ones who just days later crucify him. And give us a thief. Give us somebody else.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just, it makes me want to do some self-examination about how easily we are kind of shaped by forces that may or may not be faithful to what God is calling us to do and be.
Yeah. I think it has to be some of the same people. Because this passage calls them disciples, right? It says a throng of his disciples who were already there in Jerusalem. So these aren't necessarily just the 12 and others who were traveling with Jesus, but people who are already in Jerusalem.
And let's not forget, Peter, some of his best friends. So it is some of the same people, celebrating his leadership. They follow him as their teacher, their rabbi. They are disciples. And then even those closest to him deny they knew him, turn away. One of the most powerful parts of the proclamation is this year there's just 2 lines. Last year's reading, I think, was from Mark's gospel, but in Luke's passage, there will be 2 places where the entire congregation has a line. And we have 2 lines that we will say together. And one is, release to us Barabbas. And the other one is, crucify him, crucify him. And I've had people comment, plus you can just feel it in the room, feel it in your own body, kind of catches in your throat. I was talking to the person who is rehearsing at home, reading through her lines so that we can get the flow and the timing. She said, I read it out loud just alone in my home, and I was choking up to read this story and the power of it, even though I've heard it so many times. So the participation in release to us Barabbas, crucify him, crucify him. All of that is real in our own lives. Like, we know our own tendency if we're really willing to admit it. And that's what I think Holy Week invites us to do, is to say, how am I participatory and so fickle or, conditional in my devotion, my adoration of Jesus, that one day I'm hot and the next day I'm cold, or one day I worship and the next day with my actions, with my words, with my motives, I deny him. And it's very indicting for each of us.
Well, and I think that Holy Week and really Palm Passion serves as this clarifying moment for so many people in the original story, and it can for us too if we let it. It helps us see Jesus for who Jesus really is. And I think so often we paint pictures of Jesus the way that we want him to look, and we ignore who he actually says he is and who he actually proves he is with his actions. We ignore that and we say, Jesus is this, or Jesus looks like this. We even do that, right? This is what Jesus looks like. We make Jesus into our own image rather than the other way around. And I think Holy Week is just this profound invitation to reckon with who Jesus actually is. And I think the people in the crowds do that, and he's not what they expected. He's not the military leader marching into Jerusalem to fight the Romans that they thought he would be. And Peter and the other disciples face that he's not the Messiah that they thought he would be, even though he is. It's just not what they expected. And so when Peter denies Jesus and says, I don't know him, I don't know that he's lying, I think he's telling the truth. I think he just actually doesn't know Jesus. And so I think the invitation of a service like this, where we pack all of this story into one moment, is to have this clarifying realization of, like, this is who Jesus is, and do I actually want to be a part of what Jesus is doing? I love that we say those lines. It's really powerful and clarifying.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about Holy Week for me is how, in the ways that we participate liturgically, it's like we are placing ourselves in the middle of the action for this whole week. And it starts with a very dramatic Palm Passion Sunday, right? And literally dramatic in the way that it kind of reads like a play.
Yeah.
Right.
And when we practice, like doing a reading, and it's like, okay, you're Pilate, and you're Judas, and you're Peter, and you're the crowd. And it's like literally placing ourselves here, like you're saying, actually, like reading out, crucify him, like putting ourselves in the action. Same thing Maundy Thursday, like a hand washing or a foot washing practice, doing the Stations of the Cross. And then the prayer practice that we do on Saturdays. It's like just placing ourselves and participating is really beautiful over Holy Week.
Yes. Yeah. And we want every Sunday and every time of worship to be fully participatory, and there's moments and times where that occurs. But this service, more than most, is fully participatory. And that probably feels a little shocking and jarring and uncomfortable, even though we're preparing folks. We put the video out, we've talked it up, it's in the newsletter. Still, and I don't blame anyone for this, sometimes you come, you're like, I just wanted to come to church. Right. I just wanted to get a good word and feel okay and leave. But be prepared. Do come, and be prepared that, this is not a performance for us to, I mean, it never is, but even you might be tempted to think, oh, okay, a dramatic reading, it's like a play and I'll just watch. But like you said, Emanuel, the whole thing is an invitation to have our lives, our hearts, our spirits broken open a little bit more.
Enter at your own risk.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have some, worship danger.
Caution tape.
And
Caution tape.
Expect some people to be annoyed, standing out front with their bulletin, I just want to go take my self-assigned seat and not do all this.
Right.
It is jarring, and I think it is interesting. Those are the things we say, right? The responses you said that everybody's going to say is I don't want to say that. I want to be the other person. Yeah. But I think it just makes me want to do some deep reflection. How do I, in today, am I complicit? How do I just go along to get along? How do I just so easily shift in my own spirit, or I don't know, and it also just reminded, like, we did this to love, the fullest embodiment of love. I say we, I don't just say them, because it's easy to kind of just project onto our spiritual ancestors and say, oh yeah, well, we wouldn't do that today. Well, we're kind of doing that today.
Yeah.
We're kind of not able to tolerate this radical love, this embodiment of love and the minute we think, oh, those people aren't doing it, but I'm loving, I mean, I think that's not honest. I think we have to be honest and say, like, this stuff challenges everything about our ways of understanding the world, and it is still dangerous. It is dangerous to do this, to practice this, to speak up for it. I don't know. I was thinking about how, and years ago, a professor said to me, a friend also said, probably quoting somebody else, the most subversive thing you can ever say and try to embody is Jesus Christ is Lord. What does it mean to make Jesus, just let Jesus actually be on the throne of your everything, your heart, your life, your mind, your soul, your deeds, your future, your past, and to literally fully and completely surrender to the lordship of Jesus Christ. Because this is a clash of who's in charge.
Yeah.
Caesar, it looks like it, feels like it. I mean, that's what kills Jesus in a sense, is the system.
Yes.
It's this big clash of love and empire. And I think anytime that happens throughout human history, I think this is probably the most well-known moment of that, and perhaps the most powerful, but it's happened other times too. And there's usually some sort of violence and death. So it is risky to embody love, to stand up to empire.
Yeah.
That's always a risk.
Yeah. And about that, one of the things that I appreciate about being a follower of Jesus, yes, we're asked to stand up, to follow his example, to stand up against powers of oppression, injustice, and empire, and to stand for and with and in love. And we're not asked to do that alone, because I think it's an impossible task if it's like, okay, Ashley, on your human strength, you combat the powers of oppression and empire and greed. It's like, that is not a humanly possible thing to do. Yeah. And because the Holy Spirit dwells within us, because we are fed by Jesus, his very self, that his Spirit, that same power lives within us, then we have the power in his name and in his strength to do what we never could do, even if we would will to do it. It's a truly supernatural invitation that plays out in real, on the ground, relational and action ways in our lives. But it is God's Spirit in us. Without that indwelling power of the Spirit, I think it would be a lost cause for us.
Yeah, I'm reminded of how, too, the reminder that I'm glad you said that, because it's not up to us, right? There's a sense that in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, that's already done. It's already happened. I'm reminded of years ago, I think it was that story, maybe you've heard it, about after World War II, and the news didn't get everywhere at the same time, and there's this embattled, somehow disconnected from comms, folks on this island, and they're just fighting, and it's trying to get the word to them. Hey, guess what, guys? The war is actually over.
Yeah.
You can put down it's done. Right? No, it's not. It's not. And there's still violence, and there's still all kinds of things. And I feel like we forget that this is not up to us. We're not trying by our own, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps kind of thing to accomplish something that we've got to do. Jesus did that. And our job is just hey, I don't think everybody knows it yet.
Yes.
It's not just saying that the arc of history bends towards justice. It's already there, but we've just got to keep announcing it and embodying it and sharing it and carrying it to all the places that still refuse to realize, hey, guys, what's that hymn? The war is over, the battle done.
Yeah. hearing that, I have a friend who has this huge, it's like a reprint from a newspaper, and it's huge block letters, the entire front. And I never really even asked. And it says, "The war is over." And as you were telling that story, and it's like framed in their house, and it's sort of a throwback. It looks vintage, and it's a print now. And now I'm like, oh, in that context, I had not put that together, but what that really will stick with me. That's a powerful image. The war is over. It is done. And that is what this story is about.
So the invitation on Sunday is to come and be a part of that story, to be embodied in that story, and to proclaim it to the world that the war is done. It's over. We're going to gather at 9:00 for a prayer walk.
I'm so excited about that prayer walk. And I'm going to be doing it not just that day too, but and it's in the app now. So I mean, we can start.
Sweet.
I can start practicing my prayers.
Let's go right now.
For the city. Let's do it.
So yeah, prayer walk at 9.
Yeah.
For
Meeting
the city and the blocks.
Yeah.
And all
where will you?
places.
Where will we meet for that again? Let's give all the deets. 9:00. Well, I know we're gonna meet. Just giving me looks. Okay, we're gonna meet like in the Commons. This is live. I only know because I did that silly video that's out, waving the little palm branches. But we're gonna meet for the prayer walk. The Commons, like those glass doors out on the steps right in front of the church, where we then will reconvene close right at 10, get our bulletins, and begin worship out there. Also at 9:00, I didn't mean to take this from you, Amanda. Yeah. At 9:00, also, children of all ages will have one joint Sunday school where they're going to learn a song, Hosanna, Hosanna, to lead us into the sanctuary with the procession. So 9:00 is when the action starts. 10:00 is the one joint service in the sanctuary, and we look forward to seeing y'all then.
One joint. So not 8, 9, or 11, but 10 o'clock.
10.
10 o'clock.
10:00.
We'll see you
Hope
there.
to see you there.